What if I told you that being a great teacher might actually be holding your business back? In today's episode, you'll hear how Laura Barnhart went from over-educating in her webinars to selling with clarity, and she tripled her revenue in just 5 months, so stay tuned. Great teachers don't automatically make great marketers, and that gap can cost you sales. If your webinars educate, but your cart underperforms, today's conversation will show you how to shift from teacher talk to buyer-ready language in your live launches. You'll meet Laura, one of my clients, who not only embraced every funnel and marketing enhancement we worked on together, but even added her own very clever twists. And she tripled her revenue between her April launch and her August launch. She's also going to share one of the most brilliant mid-launch product upgrades I have ever seen. Something so simple and effective that it increased conversions and had her audience raving to buy. Laura Barnhart is a practicing occupational therapist and a certified neonatal therapist with over 20 years of experience in home health, outpatient, and NICU care. In 2021, she founded Pediatric Therapy Tools to equip pediatric professionals with practical, family-first training that they can put into practice right away. She's a wife, a mum of 2 boys, and known for her relaxed, friendly teaching style. Because she still works in the clinic every day, everything she teaches is grounded, relevant, and doable. And since 2024, she's trained clinicians all across the US and mentored students worldwide. And you are going to love her story. So here's Laura. Laura, welcome to the Launch Lounge. I am so happy to have you here today.
Me too. I'm like crushing over this. I'm like, oh, Salome's having me on her podcast. This is like, I don't know, a dream come true in a sense. So super excited. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I can't wait to share with our listeners your story. You are so smart and you've done such clever things with your marketing. I'm very excited to bring this to them and I know they're going to love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, it's definitely been a journey, and I'm so glad that you walked me through it.
Oh, you're welcome. You've been a long-time podcast listener too, haven't you?
Yes. When you took that break, I was devastated. I mean, I was seriously like, where did she go? I was not notified, and then when all of a sudden it popped up like, oh, here's a podcast we recommend. And I was like, oh, there she is. Yes. So
I wish I knew that back then. I can genuinely say that out of I've made some business mistakes, but stopping the podcast is categorically right up there, number one mistake that I made. And you don't get that feedback in the moment. Nobody goes, hey, where are you going? You just hear it, 3 years later when you turn it back on, or 2 years later when you turn it back on, you get all the, oh, I've missed you so much. I'm so glad. And I'm like, dude, where were you then?
We're like, what happened? Everybody's like, anyway. But hindsight, you just don't know.
And it's school fees. We've got to pay our school fees. We got to it's how we learn. It's how we learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we are here today to talk about, I want to say this year for you, 2025, how 2025's gone for you. But before we dive into the whole story of all of your launches and how everything went, you spin so many plates. You're a busy lady. So just tell us a little bit about Laura's life and all the different facets that you have, all the different jobs you have.
Oh, gosh. I mean, with that introduction, it makes me sound exhausted just to listen to it. I'm married to my husband, Robert, and we have 2 boys, Matthew and Jay Morgan. I'm a practicing occupational therapist in a level 3 NICU. I'm also a board certified neonatal therapist. So with that comes responsibility as well. And then on top of that, I have my continuing education company, Pediatric Therapy Tools. And, it's just really starting to grow and kind of expand, which is exciting.
Yeah.
But again, I've got, a child graduating from high school. I've got one that's going to
Yeah.
be graduating from elementary school and, work and, just so many different things.
Mm.
But somehow it's just, I guess, I don't know if it's just the way I'm built. I don't know if
Mm.
entrepreneurs are kind of like that,
Yeah.
we just like our hands in so many different things. And so,
Yeah.
you know, uh, it's great. It's great. It keeps me busy, keeps me on my toes. I love it.
It is great. And you do it with so much grace and so much style. And every time I would talk to you, because obviously when we talk, like now, it's the morning for me and it's,
Yeah.
the late afternoon, early evening for you because you're in the
Mhm.
States. Every time, you'd be just coming home from a long shift in the NICU.
Mhm.
And then shifting your brain from that to marketing.
I
I'm a
know.
little bit amazed at your ability to do that.
Yeah, I would say like, oh, well, I got to, help a 25 weeker. And you're like, oh my goodness. Okay. So we're going
Yeah.
to talk about marketing. And you just came home
Yeah.
from that. And I'm like, it's
That's
okay.
right. Yeah,
So
that's right. It
yeah.
kind of feels not quite as important when when you contrast it to the 25
Yeah.
weeker who's lying there.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did you first come up with the idea to start an education business? Where did the idea come from? When did you go, "Oh, hang on, I should be teaching this"?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, in most healthcare professions, or probably any profession, we have to do internships. And then
Mm,
when you are actually like a practicing OT, you will take on some of those students.
mm,
And
mm.
I've had so many students over the years that have just said, Laura, you need to be teaching more than
Yeah.
having, a student with you for their internship. I've had just wonderful feedback from wonderful students saying, I feel like I've learned more from you than I have in the past 2 years.
Oh,
And
amazing.
then I've even had, universities and colleges reach out to me saying like, would you please take more students?
Wow.
Or the feedback we're getting from OT students is just that they want you specifically as their instructor. And so I was like, well, I need to figure out a way to kind of reach
Mm,
more of like the masses, so to speak.
mm,
So,
mm.
and then Pediatric Therapy Tools was born. So there you go.
Fantastic. And you really
Mhm.
are a natural teacher. And I think that's something that we're going to touch on today because when we started working together, I kind of needed to retrain your language a little bit
Yeah,
so
I
that,
know.
take you from just a little bit from teacher language to
Mhm.
marketer language, which
Mhm.
is absolutely the joy what I do with
Mhm.
almost everyone because it's natural for
Mhm.
people who are good teachers to want to become teachers and want to sell their
Right.
teaching. But as you found out, there's a difference between teaching language and marketing language, and we're going to talk
Yes.
about that a little bit later. Tell me a bit about like when did you start your business and what did that journey look like before you met us and before you started working with us?
Oh, I just say I was going on a wing and a prayer. It was just, because I am one of those. I will read everything. You put it in front of me, I'm going to read it.
Mm,
You tell me to listen to something, I'm going to listen to it. Um, but it was really before reaching out to you. It was just such a hodgepodge.
mm,
I was just kind of throwing anything at everything.
yeah.
I'll throw out emails, I'll do social media, and
Mm,
I just it wasn't very organized. I felt very scattered.
mm,
I'm very blessed in that my reputation as
yeah.
an OT was able to, bring in like kind of like my startup funds. I was
Mm, mm.
running mainly on street credit.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
um, yeah, but yeah, it was just something that was just all taped together in
Mm,
one big, kind of
mm.
disorganized mess, if you will.
And you know what? I want to say to that, that's the journey. That's everybody's story. And here's why. And it took me a long time to figure this out, but I can see it so clearly now. So when we start, we buy online courses, right? It's hard to sell a course that promises, I'm going to teach you everything the slow way, the slow way where it's all part of a big system that's going to feel overwhelming, and but after 3 years you'll have everything in place that makes sense, right? Nobody's
Right.
selling that because it's not sexy. What's
Right.
sexy is, let me teach you the 3 ways to write great emails, or how to grow on Instagram, or how to run ads. Like, that stuff sells because it solves an immediate problem. So
Right.
it's not like we go to uni where you're signing up for 3 years, and by the
Mhm.
end of the 3 years you'll have the big picture covered.
Right.
We are hodgepodging this. All of
Mhm.
us are hodgepodging it until, I want to say, until they find me, but until
Well, they need
everyone
to.
gets to me where I'm running their ads and I'm going, okay, whoa, we've got some holes to fill here, and we've
Right.
got some things to plug there, and we've got some things to put together. But it took me like 7 years to
Right.
be able to see that big picture. So you're not alone in this hodgepodge experience.
Yes.
It's kind of all of our stories, and it's my story too.
Yeah.
Um, you were running some ads before you started working with us, weren't you?
Yes, and horribly, horribly. I mean, I remember that meeting where, it was so sweet of you. I just felt like you were trying to, like, just kind of break it to me gentle. It's just, we looked at what you did do in the past, and I'm like, was it wrong? Just shoot it to me straight. And you were like, it was wrong, like way back when. I'm like, you know what though? I wanted you to tell me that to just help, like, justify in my mind, like, I made the great
Mm,
decision to reach out to Salome because,
mm,
I just had this gut feeling every time I pushed a button, like, oh, this feels so wrong on so many different
mm,
levels. And, you validated, like, yeah,
mm.
Laura, it's okay. You were doing it wrong, but it's fine. We're going to fix this. So I was like, hey, I came to you to tell me, to give me this
Yeah.
feedback and to help me. And that's exactly what you're doing. So I appreciated that, all of that.
Well, I knew that you'd make a great client. When I get the applications for working with us in the agency, there's a few things that I look at. Obviously, list size is one of them,
Mhm.
and history of sales. Like, I need to see that you have actually sold some stuff.
Mhm.
And I knew you'd make a great client when you shared that in your last launch, even with the ads that you say are
Right.
wrong. They were wonky, but not all wrong, just slightly wonky.
Yeah.
But you shared with me that you had 200 people who signed up for your
Mhm.
launch, which by any means is like, it's a victory getting 200 people to sign up for a launch. And then you said you had 25 who showed up for that
Mhm.
for the launch, which I knew is a little bit lower than what we want, but still, to get 25 people to show up, and you said every one of them stayed till the end.
Yeah.
So I knew
Mhm.
when they get in front of you, you
Mhm.
deliver. You have good stuff. Your audience likes to listen to you. And you
Yeah.
shared that you converted them at 20%. So just knowing a little bit of those numbers gave me an idea to say, well, yes, we're going to need to do something about the ads here, but the foundation of the marketing, there's the bones are here. You had the
Mhm.
bones in place. So then it's really like, it's kind of easy for me to go in and say, all right, you've got the bones.
Mhm.
Now let's flesh it out.
Exactly. Like, I knew that the course that I was really trying to market, I knew it was a good course because I had testimonials,
Mm,
just, you know, line after line of testimonials from all these different people from all over the country, just giving me rave reviews. But, I was just so frustrated and stuck with how to reach more beyond the
mm,
referrals that I was
yeah.
getting.
Yeah. And that's a very common challenge we have,
Mhm.
especially with organic algorithms being what they are these days,
Mm-hmm.
where, it's not the heyday of building 100,000 followers overnight anymore. We've got to
Mm-hmm.
work harder to get those new leads. And especially if we're launching live, like trying
Mm-hmm.
to get those leads between live launches and to get enough of them that you
Mm-hmm.
can actually then fill a launch again with 200 new
Mm-hmm.
people.
Right.
That can be challenging.
Yes,
Mm,
absolutely. And, you said it that, the ads in the beginning, from what I tried to do on
mm,
my own, I mean, they brought in some,
mm,
and so I was able to that helped me know, like, I feel like I'm on the right track, but I'm just kind of veering off from, like, ditch to ditch. And I need somebody,
mm,
to kind of really get me on course with the ads and with the marketing. And obviously, like, kind of systemizing everything as well, because again, I was just
mm,
just kind of like a ping pong ball, just all over the
mm,
place. And,
mm.
coming to you, it just really helped to organize and systemize everything. And then scale it with the ads, which was awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the scaling it.
Mm-hmm.
That's been one of the funnest thing for me to watch. All right, so over the 5 months, kind of a 5 month period, somewhere between March and August,
Mm-hmm.
we launched. We went through 3 different launches, right? So we launched your infant massage course
Mm-hmm.
twice, and we launched what we now call the Confident Coach Framework. We
Mm-hmm.
launched that once. So I want to tell the story a little bit. In January, this was before you started working with us. This is some of the numbers you gave us. In January, you launched infant massage.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that my audience loves data, and they don't all love data, but they love that, they love how much I love data, so they like it when I give them the numbers. You spent $1,000 on ads.
Mm-hmm.
You made revenue of 2,125. You had 8 sales from
Mm-hmm.
that, and your return on ad spend is 2.1. Now, that, if I told you I have a vending machine and you're going to put $1 in and get $2.10 out, you'd say, well, that's fabulous. Give me that vending machine, right?
Right. Yeah.
So by my, like, looking at this, I went, yes, here's something that we can work with. And then you and I started working together in, I think at the beginning of March, and you had your infant massage launch already scheduled for April.
Right.
So what happens for me is I go, all right, I'm going to have to let this unfold. We're going to run the ads. We take over the ads, which is what you hire us to do, right? You
Right.
hire us to run the ads.
Yep.
But I know that the ads are only as good as the funnel that it goes through.
Sure.
So we set up your ads, and with that short time frame, I think the only thing we optimized was your landing pages. Am I right? Can you
I
remember?
believe so. Yes, we didn't do like a deep dive into like the emails or the actual like slide deck at that point.
Yeah, we were limited in terms of time, but I
Sure.
knew, I knew this isn't going to be a train smash. This is going to unfold profitably.
Right.
So we just let it run.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I think that we did really well, with your help and with you, was to track all the data, to
Yes.
have like a clean run of all of your data for that launch.
Mm-hmm.
Was there something that in this very first round of optimization that you remember learning? This was like, we literally just changed your landing pages, but I remember we had a conversation about you invited people to the webinar,
Mm-hmm.
but you started inviting them long before the webinar, and then you put them in, is it Teachable that you use? I keep
Yes, it's
forgetting.
teachable. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then you put them in Teachable and they get free content.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about that process that you created for signing people up to the webinar and then getting them to the webinar for this first launch, because I just want to paint the picture of how we optimize that.
Well, I feel like in the first launch that we're talking about, the window of time was just way too big. It was just
Yeah.
way too big
How big was
because,
it?
oh gosh, like a month maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, And, it was me like, kind of putting in like drops of like, oh, here's your free drop this week. But, you just kind of like wear out the new and shiny, right? It's
Yeah.
just, by the time it comes to the webinar, people are just kind of worn out, they're kind of fatigued by it
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. You were also sharing a lot of educational content with them.
Yes, it was like, here's a handout, here's a worksheet.
Yeah.
And it was just way too much.
Yeah.
And, but what I learned though, especially with the data is just, in healthcare, I kind of related it to, I'm like, okay, we've gotten our baseline. Like here's our baseline. This, we are only going to go up from here. And that's just what we do with our patients as well, whether it's an adult or a pediatric patient. We evaluate them, we collect the data for their baseline status, and then we make our goals and we start to shoot for those goals. So, I was definitely motivated by, the return on ad spend of like 2. I was like, okay, this is not a bad baseline, so this is showing me like there is some portion of this that is working well. And now, Salome is going to be able to go through, and really kind of look at the data. It's like, okay, where are the holes? Where are the gaps? What do we need to strengthen? What do we need to pull back on? Yeah.
I cannot tell you how much I love this analogy or this comparison with the medical field, because I've never thought of it that way, but that's literally what we do. And it's kind of that, it's sort of like that initial phase where you see the doctor, and now the doctor's going to send you for blood tests, and they're going to send you for these tests, and they're going to say like, I've got to go and do my tests first. And oftentimes, I want to say this is oftentimes people come to us and they just want all the money right now. Like, just make me all the money right now. And I'm like, dude, hold your horses.
Yeah.
We are taking this slow because we cannot optimize things that have not been baselined first. We've got to baseline it. And I kind of have to coach people through that process of just slow down. We're going to baseline this first. And we're not going to throw all the money at Zuckerberg. We're going to baseline it safely, and then we're going to scale it strategically.
Yes.
So I loved this launch, and I watched it unfold, and I loved seeing it go. And so this time you spent $1,500. You made $3,926. We went from 8 sales in the January launch to 18 sales in this one, for a return on ad spend of 2.6. So now we've gone from 2.1 to 2.6. So now your machine is spitting out $2.60. So this was the first infant massage launch. And then we had some time. We had a nice, like almost a whole school term. And I remember it as a school term because I know I went on holiday during that phase. But we had a whole school term to prepare for your next launch. And your next launch was the Confident Coach Framework. So just tell us a little bit. This is a different course. Tell us a little bit about the history of the Confident Coach Framework, and why you were launching it then, and why were we launching it then?
Yes. So the Confident Coach Framework is actually based on a theory or like a practice model that's used in pediatrics. But when I've taught the infant massage course, I'll kind of informal survey the students, like, oh, have you all ever heard of the 5 core measures? Or the Universal Developmental Care Model, the Neonatal Integrative Care Model. And everybody's like, no, never heard of it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, because that's what the, original title was. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to do a webinar. Like, people need to learn about this because this is so important to pediatrics. And it's so applicable for the NICU through early intervention. And it was interesting. So this is where, with this launch, we kind of used definitely more of, like, I would say, a marketing model with the language. And so it was just taking, the infant massage, the first launch was straight up teaching. I mean, that's just all I know how to do is just teach and teach. But I don't know how to market. And then this launch was more of like, okay, let's see how I do with more of the marketing language. So it was interesting to kind of go through that shift with this one.
Yeah. I loved seeing you go through that shift because
Mm-hmm.
I could literally see your eyes light up and the pennies drop.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the original webinar, I think the original webinar was called 5 Core
Mm-hmm.
Measures. And we talked about how, there's no benefit
Right.
in the word 5 core measures. It's feature, and it's not even feature that they know.
Right.
So what incentive are we giving them? And I don't remember off the top of my head what we changed it to, but we went through the whole, like we did a full, unpacked
Mm-hmm.
all of your survey data,
Mm-hmm.
pulled that voice of customer language, their pain
Mm-hmm.
points, their desires, and we did a complete overhaul of the webinar landing page, the sales page, the
Mm-hmm.
webinar, all the things. There were so many things we optimized. And I was so happy that you're such a willing participant. I always say, when a client signs up to work with me, they don't realize they're going to get so much homework.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's true. But I mean, you need to be, it's kind of like, going back to the healthcare analogy, people want me to fix them. And I'm like, well, but you have to do the exercises,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's kind of the
Yeah.
same thing where, yeah, you're going to be an active participant in this process, which
Yeah.
is good. That's how you learn.
Yeah, and you were the best active participant. You are so willing to do the work, and you work fast. You did it so quickly.
Yeah.
So there were some. So that's what we did. We created a whole new
Mm-hmm.
messaging, updated all the pages. We revamped your email system completely,
Mm-hmm.
all of your emails. We created a webinar, added bonuses, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't all the success wasn't all just things that we did. It was also some really clever decisions that you made. Hey friends, quick break from the episode because I've got something really exciting to share with you. In September, the Launch Lounge agency is opening up just 2 spots for course creators who are ready to scale. Now here's the cool part. We don't just run the ads for you, we actually become your growth partner. That means looking at your entire marketing strategy and helping you connect the dots. And we've built some really powerful AI tools that make your copy stronger, your webinars more engaging, and your sales process smoother, so you can get more conversions without extra stress. The best part? Our clients are finally getting off the launch roller coaster, seeing consistent sales come in, and more importantly, they're getting their time back. So if you're making at least 6 figures a year, you've got an offer your audience loves, and you're serious about scaling, I'd love for you to apply. Just head over to thelaunchlounge.com/agency. But don't wait, because these 2 spots will go fast. All right, now let's get back to the episode. So tell us a little bit about, I know the QR codes, and the QR codes was one of the things, but also what we learned about the students coming to a webinar. Tell us about what you learned around that.
Yes. So definitely it was interesting because I think they were so used to me teaching. And so I feel like part of the attendees were like, I'm not sure, I still felt like I wasn't teaching enough. It was a little bit more of the marketing language. And then, we learned after the webinar that, it was interesting, like learning how, I would get emails of people asking me questions. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to not just answer this person. I need to answer it, to everybody. And so, thinking of, they were asking me, well, what are the handouts? What do they look like? How can I use them? And then it just kind of occurred to me, because I had said like, oh, you'll have video demonstrations and then you'll have a handout. And then I was like, well, why can't I put those 2 together? And so my assistant, Heather, who's wonderful, she puts up with my random, stream of consciousness of ideas on a daily basis. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, can we put these 2 things together? And then I sent out that email. It was like mid-cart, like, hey, guess what? I've just done an upgrade on the handouts, and then boom, I got even more sales. And then I sent out an and I think it was an email with a behind the scenes tour of
Yeah.
a course. And
Mm.
then boom, I got some more sales. So it was really interesting kind of going through that process with you with like the marketing language of the webinar, which, I had historically been terrible with, and then kind of understanding the communication, like the back and forth with answering questions post webinar, and then being able to flip that into turning it into like an opportunity, which
Right.
ultimately benefits everybody. So
Yeah.
that was neat.
That is like, for you to see that and realize that
Mm-hmm.
made me so happy, because we can, if we take all the bells and whistles out of marketing, at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, what good marketing is it is showing people that they get what they want.
Right.
And that's exactly what you did. You showed
Mm-hmm.
them that they get what they really want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's genius. And I want to add, you did something really cool. You not just turned the handouts and the videos into like a combined something.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this was this launch, because I remember I was so blown away by how clever this is. So when your therapists work with families, one
Mm-hmm.
of their challenges is to get the family to do the exercises, to do the thing that
Mm-hmm.
the therapist teaches them to do.
Right.
So you are now teaching the therapists, but one of the biggest benefits they're looking for is they're going to be able to get the family to do the thing, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
your solution to that was to take QR codes
Mm-hmm.
and put it on the handouts
Right.
so that the parents
Right.
can use the QR code to then be able to watch the video
Mm-hmm.
to remember how to do the exercise.
Right.
And I just thought this is so absolutely pure genius.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just from a pure, we forget with
Mm-hmm.
online courses and things, at the heart of marketing
Mm-hmm.
is create a great product
Right. Yeah.
that is easy to use and that your ideal customer loves, and then tell them how it's going to help them. And those QR codes that you added and then showed your audience that they can just give the handout to the
Mm-hmm.
parent, which they probably already do, but then it gets chucked in the bin, or it just
Right.
goes on in that rubbish drawer that's
Right.
always filled with things. But the fact that they then have the QR code, because nobody's going to remember what was shown to them in one session.
No.
But
No.
if you give them the QR code, you say, you can scan this, and then you get the video. The parents get
Yeah.
the video, and then they do it. I thought that was just absolute genius.
I know. I remember the meeting where I told you, I was like, oh, I came up with this idea. And you were just floored. You were like, oh my gosh. You were like, how did you think of that? And I was like, well, I was just thinking like, here's something in one hand, here's something in another hand. Well, can I put the two hands together?
Mm,
And,
mm,
everybody has like a cell phone or an iPad, and
mm.
I know people, they'll try to, search on YouTube. And I'm like, well, no, just make it a one-stop shop,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for the listeners, I just want to say, like, we often get caught up in like, what's the latest marketing tactic, or what's
Right.
working now, or, what's the thing that's going to be the fairy dust that I can
Mm-hmm.
sprinkle to make everything go viral.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is just come back to basics and just ask yourself, how can I give my client a good product? How can I
Yes.
give my client a product that they love and that works and that solves their problems? And that
Mm-hmm.
is just the foundation of good marketing. That's brilliant.
Well, thank you.
You had on that webinar a rude guy saying, this is just a pitch fest, didn't you?
Oh yeah, gosh, I'd totally forgotten about that. I know
Yeah.
my first hater. So I was like, I was so upset because I had
Yeah.
never gotten feedback like that before, and I'll never
Yeah.
forget the meeting with you after. And I was like, Salome, somebody didn't like me, and that never happened. And you said you just smiled and you said that means you're growing. You're
Yeah.
growing, and I was like, oh. Well, okay, if that's what so I'm so trusty. I'm like, okay, and it does mean that,
Yeah.
that I'm going to be bringing more people in,
Yeah.
but I feel like somebody was there, and I don't know if they had come
Mm.
to anything else I have done. And they were just thinking of like, I need you to teach me this and I need to learn it all right now. And I'm thinking, I am teaching you little bits of it to get you started, but I'm not gonna hand it. I can't hand it over to you and make it like a good quality session. Like I'm teaching you things to get you started, and then I was like, well, oh well. So many other people. They were so positive, and it's so neat. After a webinar, I get some of the sweetest emails. And so I was like, that was just a drop in the bucket. So
absolutely. Absolutely. You just focus on the sweet emails.
yes.
And I think we did learn something about your audience, because we pushed the marketing language like to an extreme, right?
Yes.
And so after this, so this was the Confident Coach framework launch, where we first, like, we did a lot of work together to go through. So I didn't even record the stats here because I want to share the stats for the infant massage, because that's really the beautiful arc that we're creating here. But I think the value, I mean, that was a great profitable launch, and the value of that launch was in going through the process of this is how you create an offer. Oh, this is how you create the email sequence. So that was really, really valuable. And then we started getting ready for the August infant massage launch, which was really the highlight of everything.
Yes, the grand finale.
The grand finale, yes. And again, you and I went back to the drawing board, and now we'd just run this marathon together of optimizing the certified the coaching framework course. So now we were like, okay, now let's start the marathon all over again.
Right.
You'd had that January launch, and then I'd let you run your launch in April. We didn't optimize anything, but I was like, okay, you've gone through the process of optimizing this. We're going to take what we learned from this previous launch and apply it to infant massage and do the whole thing again. And I will say that you brought your A game. I mentioned somewhere else, I mentioned on another podcast the other day how incredible the slides were that you and your assistant created, how like interactive and just absolutely stunning they were. But let's go back a little bit and say, so what did we optimize? We started again with the offer, right?
Yes.
Went right back to the offer and the language.
Yes. And I love your process because, you would go through things of like what the original offer was, but you would really push me beyond my limits, and you would say, well, so what? Why should I care? And I'm like, well, okay. And then I would start to talk, and you're like, okay, Laura, you're saying it, so that's the benefit language. I'm like, oh, okay. And, you were great in that you looked at the offer and you're like, you have all the components. We just need to look at how you're packaging everything and answer the question, so what? Why should somebody care? And so that's just where it really kind of took it to the next level. I did create some more bonus package items, but for the most part, I really already had the bulk of it, which was neat.
Yeah. We just renamed a whole lot of we literally just gave the handouts you were already giving cool names, cool marketing names, so that it sounds like something that, overcomes an objection.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And, it was neat kind of going back to the first massage webinar, where it was just me teaching, getting that baseline, and then the Confident Coach framework, where it was like heavy marketing. And then, and the whole time I was like, you know what, I'm going to trust this process. I'm trusting the process. And then it was neat with this last webinar where we kind of married the two together. And that is what just blew it out of the park, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'll share a couple of things that I learned. I think the one thing that I learned was, we were looking for the benefits. We're working on a course about infant massage. And initially you look at that and I go, okay, what is the benefit of infant massage? Right. But then I went, well, hang on a second. The benefit of infant massage is not necessarily what we're looking for here.
Right.
What we're looking for is the benefit to the therapist
Right.
of becoming a certified infant massage therapist.
Right.
And that's different. That's different than just because you're teaching infant massage doesn't mean we go to that first layer of benefits of infant massage. We do need to cover that as well,
Right.
because we need to sell them on the opportunity. Like, they need to be fully on board that infant massage is a good thing.
Right.
But now we have to sell your course. So we have to be fully on board with, yeah, but why is Laura's course on infant massage the best thing for their practice,
Right.
not just for the babies or the toddlers or the kids, right?
Right. And I feel like, all the reworking that you did, just because that's what I was having trouble with. And that's why I decided to even come to you and your agency, was because, I was just having trouble kind of verbalizing, putting words to that of like, no, you need to take this course from me, and all the referrals I was getting was because, other therapists were telling, their colleagues saying like, no, you need to go to Laura for this course. Don't go to X, Y, or Z, because of, my perspective. I'm still a practicing OT, I'm still relevant in the field. I know how to implement it, because a lot of it is we go and take these courses and it's like, well, that sounds all great and grand, but how do I actually put this into practice? Like, how is this going to benefit me, the child, the parent? And that's what this course delivers, and what you were able to kind of put words to, so people could understand.
And I feel like it took a moment to kind of get there, because I'm so used to, we're selling the course, we're selling the topic of the course, and I think it was because we went through that first April infant massage launch, and then we went through the framework launch, and by the time we got to the infant massage course again, and I think part of the feedback that you got on the webinar for the framework course, the penny dropped for me as well, that your ideal customer, because they have to buy professional training, they're gonna buy something anyway. So we can pull back on the marketing language a little bit. We can, like with the pendulum went all the way to the other side, but we kind of said, well, let's bring the pendulum back to the middle and add back in more teaching, because your ideal customer is attending other webinars and other training places where they are not used to being sold at that level.
Right.
What they want is to know that they're going to get the best quality training. Because they're going to buy something anyway. But they want to know they're getting the best quality training. So that was a real, like I kind of feel like we didn't just go one layer deep. We went several layers deep to really uncover this. You did something absolutely incredible with your fast action bonus. Can you just tell us about your fast action bonus?
Well, I just love it, and I'm having such a fun time putting it together. But it's called a professional practice bundle, and it's, again, what would Salome do? What would she tell me to do? And so you're kind of in my head and asking questions, Laura. What are the objections? What's the friction? And one of the things I was like, oh my gosh, why have I never offered anybody, like, I will customize your massage doll and make sure you have the oil that I would recommend. And so that became the fast section bonus, where, it was said on the webinar, like the first 25, I think, enrollees during the webinar would receive, the customized doll by me and the oil, all prepared and packaged by me, shipped directly to their front door, for them to, they don't have to do anything. They just signed up. The doll comes to them. they attend class, whether it's in person or online. So it's been a lot of fun. And it's funny how people are just losing their minds.
They are.
They just love.
They really did lose their minds over these dolls. And
Yeah.
I will say, like, it's the brilliance of it, again, of just your ability to just go, how can I create a product that is just a really good product for my client? How can I make this even better for my client and give them this absolute luxury experience where the doll shows up on their front door? And you sent me a photo of those dolls. I'm going to share that photo on Instagram because I want everyone to see. And the photo of the doll will be on the show notes as well if you want to go see the photo.
Okay.
I find it's slightly creepy.
That's what my husband said. He goes, "You're giving all these dolls prison tattoos," and I'm like, "Stop it!" I'm like, "They're sweet." I'm like, "They're serving their life purpose."
They definitely serve a purpose. And for anyone who has no clue about infant massage courses, a doll with drawing on it in a box is really creepy.
That's what he said. He's like, "That would scare me." I'm like, "You're so silly."
Well, your audience loves it. So, so I want to run through the numbers of this final launch. Do you remember what you said to me? How much you want to spend on these ads?
I think it was just something insane.
It was something insane. I don't remember. I think
no.
Yeah, I think you said $30,000 or something, and I went, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. But we will scale. We will spend more, and so we landed on $2,900 because I think we did a bit of list building with the other $100, so we didn't quite spend $3,000. But that's double what we spent on the previous one. So we're scaling. We're going up, right?
Yeah.
So we spent $2,900 on ads. Your revenue in the end. Oh, no, before I tell them what the revenue is, because this is important. What happened to Zoom?
Oh, gosh. You had to bring that up. No, I was kidding.
I'm traumatizing you all over.
Yeah. No, I'm like, oh, yes. So I had purchased the large meeting add-on. And, I'm the owner of the Zoom, my Zoom login, whatever, account. I'm the owner of it. I'm the only one that had meetings scheduled. And, I noticed when the webinar started, of course, my assistant Heather was on there, but I noticed the number of attendees was capped at 100. And I was like, no.
And you had like 3,000 leads. So we were expecting 1,000 people to show up.
Yes. Yes, it was. And I kept looking over and my phone was going off. And that was Heather trying to get in touch with me. And I was letting her know, like, this is not supposed to be happening. And I was literally near tears. I was like, I've worked so hard on this moment. And Heather, if you ever got to meet her, she's the sweetest person on the planet. And she was livid with the Zoom people because they said, yes, we see that she's purchased it. And no, she didn't click this certain button and we're not going to do it for her. It was ridiculous. And it was insane. I could see, like, in the chat at one point, I just had to ignore the chat because people were like, I finally got in, or my friend is trying to get in. And I was just like, oh my gosh. But I said, you know what? I'm going to focus on the 100 people that are in front of me and I will move forward. And so that's what I did. Yeah.
But and then you asked me at that point, should I do an encore or should I, what was your question? Should you do an encore or should you wait? I can't remember. And I think I said to you, I can't remember what I said to you, but then you messaged me back and you said, no, I have decided I am doing an encore on Sunday night. I'm definitely doing it because my brand is that people can rely on me. Yes. And this affected your brand, and I know you were uncomfortable with that, and you said, no, I'm going to do that. So I just want to commend you and applaud you. Like, these things unfortunately happen. Again, it's one of those welcome to growing situations.
Yes.
As much as it sucks when you're in it.
Yeah.
But you handled it with grace and with style. So
Yes.
now I can say, so you spent $2,900. I think there were almost, I don't remember off the top of my head how many leads, but I feel like we were almost getting close to 3,000 leads, maybe
Somewhere,
somewhere around
somewhere
there.
through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Revenue ended up being 13,664
Mm-hmm.
for 32 sales and a return on ad spend of 4.7. That's
Wow.
$4.7 you got for every dollar you spent.
Yeah.
Now here's, I mean, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank
This
you.
is, yeah, when you look at it, everybody, we want this one big, we want $30,000 in 30 days,
Oh,
but
sure.
when I look at this and I see this
Mm-hmm.
growth, and what I see is a funnel that is optimized now.
Right.
So ads that are created,
Mm-hmm.
emails that are written,
Right.
course that's done, everything is done. So in 2 months, 3 months, whenever you're ready, you turn this whole system back on.
Right.
Instead of spending 2.9, maybe you go up to 5.
Right.
And then with a return on ad spend of 4.7, that's like almost $25,000.
Right.
Yeah.
And
then the next time you spend 10 and it goes up. And that is how we scale.
Right. Yeah. And it's such a weight has been lifted knowing that, with your help, I've been able to, I have a strategic plan, it's all organized. It's all ready to go. You'll be proud of me. All the spreadsheet has been filled out. It's just, I'm keeping up with it. And
I love it.
And it's funny, at first I was like, oh my gosh, all these numbers but now I'm like, ooh, I want to make it better. Now it's kind of like
I love it. Yeah, that's why I love spreadsheets. That's why I love numbers. It's why data is so boring until you gamify it, until you,
there you go.
Until they mean something to you. Yeah, until the numbers mean something to you.
It does.
There was some other unexpected wins from your ad spend as well. Tell us about that.
I'm not sure.
The training, the schedule, the in-person.
Oh yeah.
In-person events.
I've had so many people email me. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's that one from? It's so neat that, just with the ads and just, kind of getting, the company name out there, I'm going to teach in Texas this weekend. I'm teaching in Pennsylvania in October. I'm already scheduled for West Virginia this coming spring. And, my email has been blown up from like, oh, hey, would you want to come speak here? Would you want to come speak there? And so, even with the whole Zoom debacle, I've had just wonderful people reach out to me. I took your advice and I sent, a sincere apology, and I've had people say like, that's okay, Laura, the world, you're so genuine. And, and I was like, I'm going to be here for you. And they're like, we know you will be. So it's just interesting how you just kind of see it start to spread, more than what you realize, I guess. So, yeah.
I love that. And I'm careful to take credit for things like that happens, because there's no way I can prove that it's the ads that did that. Sure. But I asked you if you feel like it's the ads, and you said you think it is. And you're not the first person. We've had other clients who start spending money on ads and then suddenly get approached by journalists and get PR opportunities and things. Yeah. And it's a beautiful side effect, I guess.
Yes. And plus too, I survey everybody and I ask them, how did you hear about me? And they're saying Facebook ads. I'm like, well, there you go. So, it works more than it's doing more work than what you think it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, oh, I'm just looking for that webinar registration to come through, but really it's still there's a ripple effect from that. Yeah. that I think
And that's especially true in some niches. Like in your niche, professional people are seeing the ads,
yes,
and they take notice of you.
right.
For some of our other clients, it's professional bodies that suddenly see your ads and take notice.
Yeah.
What's next for Laura? What's in the pipeline? How are you going to grow this thing? What's coming up?
Well, I'm definitely, obviously going to keep tracking everything, optimizing, even more so than, still looking at the holes and any kind of gaps between now and spring. I'm also going to be doing kind of like a refresh of the course, just because being approved through national and state boards, we are required to update because of research, to update our curriculum and, thinking again, through your, like, what's the benefit? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just have so many ideas of how to, just even add more value to the course. So I think, and just kind of creating more of an experience, with the course. And everybody always, they rave about, like, Laura, this was such an experience. I'm so glad I came. But somehow trying to even optimize that as well. I'm hoping to go international with some of the credentials. They are recognized in other countries. So hopefully that'll be in the near future. So we'll see.
Well, I love that. I love having a front row seat to watching you grow and seeing you. It is such a joy for me to have just been a tiny little part of this growth for you. I'm very proud of the work that you've done.
Thank you.
You're a fantastic client and a wonderful human to work with. And I wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Salome. I couldn't have done it without you, for sure.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Laura.
You're welcome. Bye.
There you go. I want you to remember, every messy launch is just a baseline. I love this metaphor. It's not failure, it's just data. And it's the data you need to know what to do next to grow and scale. And that's exactly what Laura discovered. You don't need to tear everything down and start over. You just need to look at what worked, what didn't work, and then make incremental changes each time. Maybe that's shortening your launch window, tweaking your bonus strategy, or, like Laura, making your product easier to use in the middle of your launch. When you strip it all back, good marketing at the end of the day is simply creating products people want because they solve problems people already have. Funnels don't always need to be complicated. Sometimes it's as simple as asking yourself, how can I solve this problem for my ideal customer really, really well? Start there, and your sales will follow. Coming up, we are closing out this series on growing and scaling with the number one question every course creator wants answered. How do I sell more in my next live launch? So join me Thursday, September the 25th, and I'll show you the exact sales boosters I use when new clients join our agency and when I start working with a new mentoring client. So you can squeeze every little drop of profit out of your next live launch. These are the quick wins and the secret checks that makes the biggest difference. So tune in again this coming Thursday. Make sure you follow the show and subscribe wherever you listen. Have a lovely day. Bye. Before you go, I want to remind you about something exciting happening in September. The Launch Lounge agency is opening just 2 spots for course creators ready to scale with our full-service paid ads growth partnership. If you're making 6 figures, have an offer that converts, and you're ready to get off the launch roller coaster while getting your time back, I'd love for you to apply. Head to thelaunchlounge.com/agency. But don't wait, because those 2 spots will fill up fast. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Bye.